You know what's wild? I was at a stoplight last week and I'm sitting there in my 2018 Honda Civic with 87,000 miles on it, and next to me pulls up this brand new BMW 3 Series. Gorgeous car, right? Shiny, clean, probably still has that new car smell. And the guy driving it, he's maybe 25, 26 years old, dressed in a work polo, clearly on his lunch break. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's a $50,000 car. And statistically, I know that there's about a 70% chance that guy is making less than $75,000 a year, which means he's probably paying somewhere between $700 and $900 a month for that car. Meanwhile, you know who's driving the beat up 2015 Toyota Camry 3 cars back? Probably someone with a net worth of $500,000. And that's not a coincidence, that's a pattern. And today we're going to break down exactly why wealthy people, like actual wealthy people, not people who just look wealthy, wait way longer to buy cars than everyone else thinks they should. My name's Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people sabotage their own wealth building journey without even realizing it. If you're someone who feels like you're making decent money but somehow can't get ahead, or you look at your bank account and wonder where all your income actually goes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because here's the thing, and I need you to really hear this. The car you drive might be the single biggest thing keeping you from building actual wealth. Not your morning coffee, not your Netflix subscription, your car. So let's start with some math that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. The average new car payment in America right now is $738 a month. The average used car payment is $532 a month. And according to Experian's latest data, the average loan term is now 68 months for new cars. 68 months! That's almost 6 years. But here's what most people don't realize, and this is crucial. That $738 a month isn't actually costing you $738 a month. Let me explain. If you took that same $738 and invested it in a basic index fund averaging 10% annual returns, which is roughly what the S&P 500 has averaged over the long term, over those same 68 months, you wouldn't have $50,000 worth of payments, you'd have approximately $58,000. But wait, it gets worse, because you're not just making payments for 68 months. Most people trade in their car and get another loan. So let's say you do this pattern from age 25 to age 65. That's 40 years of always having a car payment. $738 a month invested at 10% annually for 40 years equals $4.7 million. Let me say that again, $4.7 million. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, but I need a car. I can't just not have transportation. And you're right, but here's the thing. I'm not saying don't have a car. I'm saying there's a massive difference between driving a $50,000 car and driving a $15,000 car. And that difference over time is literally the difference between retiring with millions and retiring on Social Security. Look, I get it. I totally understand the appeal. You work hard, you make decent money, you deserve something nice, right? You've been driving your old car for years and it's starting to make that weird noise and the air conditioning is a little spotty and you're tired of feeling like you're driving a piece of junk. And then you walk into a dealership, or these days you browse online, and you see these beautiful cars with heated seats and backup cameras and Apple CarPlay and all these features you don't have. And the salesperson or the website tells you the monthly payment, just $738 a month. You can afford that, right? But here's what's happening psychologically, and this is where it gets really interesting. Your brain isn't designed to think long-term about compounding. It's designed to think about immediate status and comfort. And in our society, your car is one of the most visible representations of your success. It's parked in your driveway. It's what you pull up in at work. It's what your neighbors see. There's actually research on this. A study from the University of Chicago found that people consistently overestimate how much others notice and care about their possessions, including their cars. They called it the spotlight effect. You think everyone's looking at your car and judging you. In reality, nobody cares. They're all too busy worrying about what you think of their car. But the wealthy, though, they've mentally detached their self-worth from their car, and that's the first major psychological shift. I have a friend who's worth about $3 million. He runs a successful software company, and he drives a 2016 Honda Accord with a dent in the passenger door. And you know what he told me once? He said, "Rehan, every time I think about buying a nice car, I think about what that money could do in my business. I think about the investment property I could put a down payment on. I think about the financial freedom that boring car is buying me. And suddenly, that Accord looks pretty damn sexy." That's the shift. Wealthy people see cars as a tool, not as a statement. Now, let's talk about depreciation, because this is where the math gets absolutely brutal. A new car loses approximately 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot, like literally the second you take ownership. Then it loses another 10% by the end of the first year. So a $50,000 car is worth $40,000 after 1 year. Over 5 years, most cars lose 60% of their value. That $50,000 car is worth $20,000. You just lost $30,000. Now, here's where it gets insane. Most people know this. If you ask someone, "Hey, do new cars depreciate quickly?" They'll say, "Yeah, of course." But then they buy a new car anyway. It's like knowing that smoking causes cancer and then lighting up a cigarette. We have this incredible ability to know something intellectually but completely ignore it when making decisions. But the wealthy, though, they've internalized this. They feel the pain of that depreciation. They can't unknow it. I know a guy who's worth about $8 million. He's a real estate investor, and he told me he only buys cars that are 3 to 5 years old with 30,000 to 50,000 miles. Why? Because someone else already ate that massive depreciation loss. The car still has plenty of life left, but he's buying it at 40 to 50 cents on the dollar. He drove me around in his 2019 Lexus ES 350 that he bought in 2023. Beautiful car, luxury features, super comfortable. You know what he paid for it? $28,000. That car was $45,000 brand new. He saved $17,000 by waiting 4 years and letting someone else take the hit. And here's the kicker. That Lexus will probably last him another 10 years with basic maintenance. So he's driving a luxury vehicle for less than half the original cost, and it'll serve him for a decade. But the depreciation is only part of the story. The real killer is opportunity cost, and almost nobody calculates this correctly. Opportunity cost is what you give up by choosing one option over another. And when you buy an expensive car, you're not just losing the money you spend, you're losing what that money could have become. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you're 30 years old and you're deciding between two options. Option A, buy a $45,000 car, finance it for 6 years at 6.5% interest, which is pretty standard right now. Your monthly payment is $738. Option B, buy a $15,000 car in cash. It's a 2019 Toyota Corolla with 45,000 miles. Reliable, efficient, boring as hell. Most people look at this and think, well, option A is better because I have a nicer car and I still have my cash. But let's run the real math. With option A, over 6 years, you'll pay $53,136 total, including interest. At the end, you have a 6-year-old car worth maybe $18,000. With option B, you pay $15,000 up front, but you don't have a car payment, so you can invest that $738 a month. After 6 years at 10% returns, you have $68,000 in investments, plus you still have the car, which is worth maybe $8,000. So at the end of 6 years, option A, you have a car worth $18,000. Total net position, $18,000. Option B, you have $68,000 in investments plus a car worth $8,000. Total net position, $76,000. The difference is $58,000 in just 6 years. But here's where rich people think differently. They don't stop at 6 years. They keep that same car for another 6 years, or they sell it and buy another used car for $10,000, and they keep investing. Fast forward to age 65. The person who chose option A and kept making car payments their whole life has paid maybe $350,000 in car payments over 35 years, accounting for different car prices over time. They have a car. The person who chose option B and invested the difference, they have approximately $4.2 million plus a car.
That's not an exaggeration. That's just basic compound interest math. And this is exactly what wealthy people understand that everyone else doesn't. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Rihan, but some people need a nice car for work. What if you're in sales? What if you're meeting clients? Look, I hear this all the time, and it's usually an excuse. Here's the reality. There's a massive difference between driving a professional, clean, well-maintained car and driving a luxury car. You can drive a 4-year-old Honda Accord or Toyota Camry, keep it clean and well-maintained, and look perfectly professional. Nobody's going to refuse to do business with you because you don't drive a Mercedes. In fact, there's research showing that conspicuous consumption, showing off your wealth through expensive purchases, actually makes you appear less competent in professional settings. A study in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people who display expensive products are often perceived as less trustworthy and more focused on status than substance. And here's something most people miss. Truly wealthy people often drive modest cars specifically because it signals that they're smart with money. If you're a financial advisor driving a brand new BMW 7 Series, what message does that send? It says, I spend extravagantly. Is that who you want managing your money? But if you're a financial advisor driving a well-maintained 3-year-old car, that signals, I'm smart with money. I understand value. I'm the kind of person you want making financial decisions. The status symbol only impresses people who don't have money. Wealthy people, they're not impressed. They're judging you for making a stupid financial decision. Let's talk about something people always forget when they're buying a car: the ongoing costs. A $50,000 car doesn't just cost more upfront, it costs more in literally every category. Insurance? A new luxury car costs approximately $2,500 to $3,500 per year to insure. A 5-year-old Camry costs about $1,200 to $1,500. Maintenance? Luxury brands charge luxury prices for everything. Oil change in a BMW? $150 to $200. Oil change in a Toyota? $40 to $60. Tires, performance tires on a luxury car can cost $1,200 to $2,000 for a set. Standard tires on a regular car, $400 to $600. Repairs? When something breaks, and things always break eventually, luxury car parts cost 2 to 3 times more than regular car parts. Let's say you own a $50,000 car for 10 years. Your ongoing costs might look like insurance, $30,000, maintenance, $12,000, tires, $3,000, repairs, $8,000, total, $53,000. Now let's say you own a $15,000 Toyota for 10 years. Insurance, $13,000, maintenance, $5,000, tires, $1,500, repairs, $3,000. Total, $22,500. The difference in ongoing costs alone is $30,500 over 10 years. That's another $3,000 per year you could be investing. Wealthy people calculate all of this before buying. They see the true total cost of ownership. Most people just see the monthly payment and think I can afford that. So what do actually wealthy people do? What's their strategy? I've talked to dozens of millionaires and multimillionaires about this, and here's the pattern I see over and over. Step 1, they wait until they're actually wealthy to buy nice cars. Most millionaires I know didn't buy their first luxury car until they had a net worth of at least $1 million, usually more. They followed what's called the 10% rule. Don't spend more than 10% of your net worth on a car. So if you have $100,000 net worth, your car should cost no more than $10,000. If you have $500,000 net worth, max out at $50,000. But most don't even hit that 10%. They stay around 3 to 5%. Step 2, they buy used and keep cars for a long time. The average millionaire keeps their car for 6 to 10 years, according to research by Thomas Stanley, who wrote The Millionaire Next Door. They're buying 3 to 5-year-old cars and driving them until they have 150,000 plus miles. Why? Because that's when you extract maximum value. The car has already depreciated heavily, but it still has most of its useful life ahead. Step 3, they pay cash or use strategic financing. If they do finance, they're getting under 3% interest rates and investing the difference. They're not financing because they can't afford the car. They're financing because they can make more money investing than the loan costs them. But most of the time, they just pay cash because they've built enough wealth that a $25,000 car doesn't impact their financial position. Step 4, they think in terms of net worth, not income. This is huge. Most people think, I make $80,000 a year, so I can afford a $40,000 car. Wealthy people think, I have a net worth of $400,000, so I should drive a car worth $12,000 to $20,000. See the difference? One is thinking about monthly cash flow. The other is thinking about total financial position.
Here's something that's going to sound completely backwards. The reason wealthy people can afford expensive cars is because they don't buy them. Let me explain. Every dollar you don't spend on a depreciating asset is a dollar that can become multiple dollars through investment. Wealthy people became wealthy by understanding this equation. They delayed gratification on cars, clothes, houses, all of it, and invested aggressively in their 20s and 30s. Then, by their 40s and 50s, they had so much money that even if they wanted to buy a $100,000 car, it wouldn't matter. It's 2% of their net worth. It doesn't move the needle. But people who buy expensive cars young, they never build that foundation. They're stuck in the cycle forever. They make more money, so they buy a more expensive car. Then they're stuck with the payment, so they can't invest. So they never build wealth. So they keep working and keep making car payments. It's a trap, and the car dealers and manufacturers know it's a trap. They've designed the entire system to keep you in it. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is easy, because the social pressure to drive a nice car is real. Your coworkers pull up in new cars. Your friends are driving nice cars. You go to family events and someone asks, when are you going to get a new car? And you feel this pressure to prove that you're successful. I get it. I felt it too. But here's what I want you to understand. Every single person who's judging you for your car, they're probably broke or they're on their way to being broke. The people who have actual money, they're not judging. In fact, they respect the discipline. I remember when I first started making decent money, I kept driving my old Civic. And a colleague asked me, dude, when are you going to upgrade? You can afford a nice car now. And I told him, I'm not trying to look rich, I'm trying to be rich. Those are two different things. And you know what? 5 years later, I had a six-figure investment account and no debt. He had a BMW, a big mortgage, and was stressed about money all the time. Who made the better choice? So, what do you actually do with this information? Let me give you a concrete action plan. If you currently have a car payment, calculate how much you're actually paying over the life of the loan, including interest. Calculate how much that same monthly payment would be worth if invested for the same period. Decide if you're okay with that trade-off. If not, consider selling and buying something cheaper. If you're thinking about buying a car, before you even look at cars, decide on your maximum purchase price based on your net worth, not your income. Use the 10% rule as a maximum, 5% as a target. Look only at cars that are 3 to 5 years old with good reliability ratings. Toyota, Honda, Mazda, Lexus, certain Hyundais and Kias. Avoid luxury brands unless you're already wealthy. Pay cash if possible. If you must finance, get pre-approved from your bank or credit union. Never ever finance through the dealer. Calculate the total cost of ownership, including insurance, maintenance, and repairs. Use online calculators for this. Buy the car and commit to keeping it for at least 10 years or 150,000 miles. Here's the crucial step nobody talks about. If you buy a cheaper car than you can afford, you must invest the difference. This only works if you actually invest that money. If you were going to spend $700 on a car payment, but instead you're spending $0, set up an automatic $700 monthly transfer to an investment account. Low-cost index funds like VTSAX or a target date retirement fund. Don't think about it. Don't give yourself the option to spend it. Automate it and forget about it. That's how you build wealth. That's the secret.
Look, at the end of the day, this isn't really about cars, it's about how you think about money. Poor people see money as something to spend. They get paid and they think, what can I buy? Middle class people see money as something to manage. They get paid and they think, how do I budget this? Wealthy people see money as something to deploy. They get paid and they think, how can I make this money make more money? And that fundamental difference shows up everywhere, but it's most visible in cars because cars are expensive and everyone needs one. When you're looking at a car, poor and middle class people see a thing they need and want. Wealthy people see an opportunity cost. They see the investment returns they're giving up. They see the financial freedom they're delaying. Once you make that mental shift,